Hey YouTube, how's it going? It's Max. I literally just woke up. Rolled out of bed like 3 minutes ago, and yeah, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this whole concept of creating character names that I do. Um, it's it's kind of like if you've played D&D or something as a DM, and you have a random a random like generator. So like if you write down like 20 things and then you roll a d20, which is a dice with 20 sides, and then whatever it lands on. So if you do like if it rolls on an 18, then you do the 18. So it's kind of like if you go to a random number generator site right here and you do like a 1 out of 20 and you generate and you get a 4. It's like rolling a d20 and getting a 4, and then whatever the 4 is on that outcome, then you do that. So I kind of do that, but with names and all this other kind of stuff. And I've probably said this in other videos, but I use this website called Airtable a lot. And as you can see, these are all the spreadsheets I've kind of made. I think I've had Airtable for like 3 years, 4 years, something like that. So I have like quite a lot of like spreadsheets, and some of these are more fleshed out than others. Like some of these are very fleshed out, some of them aren't very fleshed out. But I'm going to talk mostly about these names. So again, this is kind of talking about you put a bunch of random names down, and then you roll a d20 or something equivalent, and then whatever the name is on that, that's the name you go with. And this can be useful for kind of, like I said, for a game if you want to like create a bunch of NPCs and you don't really want to just think of random names off the top of your head. You can just kind of do this, and it kind of makes it feel a little bit more official. You can, like, while you're writing, if you're blanking on the name of a character, you can kind of have this in your back pocket. What I kind of like to use this for is to flesh out a region. So if I have this concept for a region, like let's go with Emildestad, which is this region that I kind of wanted to reflect a bit more like the Middle East in a way, but not quite essentially be the Middle East, if you know what I mean, but just kind of like that um, Arabian Nights kind of vibe. So I was kind of coming up with some like Jewish names, kind of like over near like the Jerusalem area. That I was thinking of like maybe some like Turkish names, some like names from like Saudi Arabia, even names from like Egypt and as far like west as Egypt and maybe even as far east as India. Just kind of like this kind of hodgepodge. Like I don't want it to be like my problem with this is that like I want to like be able to utilize it for representing like different cultures, but I don't want to like just take it from um like our world, because I feel like there's so many different like subcultures in these different regions, like India especially, or even like the Middle East. There's so many different countries in there. It's impossible to make like a chart for each individual country and try to reflect each individual like subculture within those countries. So I try to kind of keep it general to a point where it's able to kind of capture a little bit of that without it being a complete like one to one. So like on the behind the scenes, you're able to see like there's some like Jewish influence, there's some like just general influence from like what I would call Arabia, which is just like Arabian names, and then Indian names as well. So I mean, it's definitely kind of could be like a bit more polished, but I'll just go into like one of these to show you. So like in my Arabia kind of Airtable, you can see that I've written down I think 100 different male names. So I've put 100 different male names, and you could just keep it like this if you want. Like if you want to just have um, like if this is good enough for you, you can do 1 out of 100 generate, and you land on 48, and that would be Latif. So your character in this context is if you were kind of you needed an NPC or a character that had some sort of influence from like the Middle East, specifically like Arabia, then you could just do this and do like, Latif, and his last name will do 34, and his last name is Hadid. So Latif Hadid, which that's it's not perfect by any means, but it's pretty believable that this would be the influence. If I wanted to do like say Germany for if I was kind of doing a German-based thing, go back to here. 58. First name for a male would be Leo, Lio, which is definitely like not what I would normally. I would do like Leo, but I'll get into like where I got these names from in a little bit. So his name would be Leo, and his last name would be 93 Weidman. So Leo Weidman. Um, and don't know the math, but you can come up with so many different names based on this list that you can pretty much be set for a while without having any duplicates. And even if you have like duplicates in the last name or duplicates in the first name, they may or may not be related. Um, it's kind of just like because there's like people in the real world with the same last name and people in the real world with the same first name. So it can last you quite a while. It does take some time to set up these, but again, that's kind of just like showcasing what I do. I like to just kind of make these charts and yeah, kind of use them for fun. Um, and then so if you wanted to create some names like these, I use these like kind of baby name generator kind of sites. So if you just go to this website, Nameberry, for example, this just has like a bunch of like popular female names up here with the pink heart and a bunch of popular boy names here, and you can even do a search like popular English names, boys. It's even saying like in the late 1800s if you wanted it to be like a certain time era. But popular English names, we'll just do girl. And this one is from the Cosmopolitan, and so these are popular boy names. You can just write down this list onto a spreadsheet like this, and then once you have it there, you can just start generating. And this one was 56. Last name is going to be Moeller. So, it's once you have it created, it's pretty easy to use. You can use it for a lot of things. Also have a girls list for all of these. And yeah, so 100 names there, 100 names, 100 names, and then I have some links to certain ones of where I found these names, just in case I wanted to reference them, even though I probably could have just like referenced them like this. So this was the website for the popular German names I used, and I just kind of copied it down and put it right here. So pretty easy, just time consuming and tedious for the most part. But then you got like so for my Mildestad one, it's a combination of these three. So instead of there being 100 names, this time there's 300 names. So if I'm doing like a bunch of regional names and there's kind of been some like, when I imagine these kinds of nations, I imagine that time has passed, so it's not just like a cookie cutter carbon copy of like Jerusalem, and like only Jewish names are in this area. There's probably been some history and stuff, so names have been kind of intertwined in the area. So what I will do is I'll change this to 300, and let's do a female name this time. So at 109, this female is going to be named Jalaja. I don't know how to pronounce that, but Jalaja. And the last name is going to be 157. So that is um, Hakim. Jalaja Hakim. So it might sound like it doesn't sound weird to me, I guess, but it may sound like weird to other people having this kind of combination of like different cultures and names. But I guess what kind of inspires this is sort of the critique on like a Harry Potter, like the Cho Chang or the Seamus Finnegan kind of names where they just sound so like Irish or so kind of like almost like people have described it as racist in the past. And so I guess I wanted to kind of come up with a system that allows me to create a bunch of names without it sounding too like granted, I've given a lot, in a lot of time to create these charts. So, there's been some sort of like, I can't really be an expert on every single culture that I like write about. And sometimes I just need like a character to kind of open the door so that I can use certain elements from other cultures, if you know what I mean. So like if I really wanted to do, for example, this plot or this situation that involved like Egyptian pyramid, um, kind of like dungeon delving, um, with like pharaohs and whatnot, that kind of like vibe of like a thing I could use like either like create an Egyptian kind of one like this with just a bunch of Egyptian names, and or I could use this Amildastad one, which it wouldn't just be like a snapshot of like Giza in like the pyramids area. It would be kind of like this like country continent that has a bunch of different stuff going on. So everything from like rainforest to deserts has all the mountains, lots of different topographical features, and like commerce and stuff like that. So it would kind of once you put all these puzzle pieces together, the names kind of it makes sense why the names would kind of be a little bit um, kind of intertwined. Like you can even see I have like Jessica, which I actually found on one of these lists. I think so. Like you can have some like kind of like names, Hannah, these Western sounding names also incorporated in here just to give it a little bit more depth. So that's one of the ones. It pretty much just me creating these kinds of charts, and then these are kind of like my combination charts. I think another thing I'll kind of talk about. Let's see, maybe I can talk about something else while I've got on here. Um, uh, let's see. I don't even remember what's in character traits. So character traits, this is something that I was kind of working on. If you've ever played like Sims 4, or yeah, like Sims 4, they have like all these different traits, and I kind of copied down a bunch of those and then added like a description, but also added a bunch of my own. And I tried to do like have the character trait there, put it in like sort it by alphabetical order, type. So in Sims, there's different types of traits. So there's the emotional traits. So this is kind of like if you're gloomy all the time, versus if you're cheerful all the time. And I kind of have this column to kind of say if this character is goofy, then they probably aren't serious at the same time, just to make it kind of simpler. Since there's a lot of characters, kind of just keep them in. You have like multiple like emotions, but you just can't overlap these ones. So you can't be romantic and unflirty, if that makes sense. So I have a little definition, so it can help me kind of remember what the word is if it's something that I'm not really used to, or maybe it triggers something that I can kind of like an idea of how I can use that kind of trait for the character. But it's a similar concept. So I got like, either 1 out of 117. I can go back to this one and just go 1 out of 117 and just say, okay, this character that I just created, their trait is 87, so they are a vegetarian. So it's just like an easy way to create a character. So that one character, I forgot their name. If I create the character name, and then what's one trait I can use to just define their personality upon their introduction? Just go generate. This one was vegetarian. Maybe this one is going to be a foodie. So they're really interested in food, interested in cooking or eating food, etc. So it's just kind of like I have all these charts that can kind of help me build characters in a very systematic way. And then you can kind of create another spreadsheet that kind of tracks all this. So I could be like character one name, character second column could be like what region they're from. So whatever their name was, Amildastad. First character is a vegetarian. Character two is whatever from Amildastad is a foodie. and maybe they're friends, maybe the foodie person, you know, sort of likes all foods, so they're really interested in meat, but their vegetarian friend isn't interested in meat at all. It's just like these are ideas that I kind of like to just kind of brainstorm in my head for fun. So this is kind of a sneak peek into like that kind of world that I kind of do, I guess, for fun. Also, there's this other website that I kind of wanted to mention called Fantasy Name Generators. So if you are trying to do something a little bit more fantasy or sci-fi or something, you don't want to use real world real world names. You can always come here, and this place has tons of stuff. So if you wanted to use real names, you could just come to any of this. They got every single type of name. You got like Latvian names, you've got Basque names, you've got Assyrian names, Ukrainian names, Hispanic names, all these different types of names. You can also go to the fantasy folklore. So if you wanted aliens, you could do alien names, banshee names, robot names, orc names, got all that stuff. If there's a certain type of pop culture you like Marvel, Final Fantasy, Bleach, I think that's an anime, RuneScape, all these different types of things. They've got so many different charts. They even got like places. So if you wanted to name your continent a certain thing or oceans, I kind of have my own system for doing continents and oceans because I like to kind of base it off of like uh, the real world kind of how we've kind of named like locations in the past. So, like for example, if you um, know of a place called like Cedar Crest or Cedar Point, there's probably a bunch of cedar trees there, and then you can kind of talk about that in your description of the place, that kind of stuff. Or if you want to call it like Jonestown, maybe it was founded by a guy named Jones who was really popular, that kind of thing. Um, so I like to do that kind of thing. But if you wanted to just do like a quick like lake names, you can just do Blacklock, easy. Or if you wanted a French name, you can do like Lac de Bassir, or however you pronounce that, it with a French accent. So yeah, like there's all these different kind of tools at your disposal, I guess, to do world building. Easy Google searches. And I personally like tracking this. I didn't find one that has this feature, but I guess the last thing I'll kind of talk about is why I kind of like this instead of like an Excel spreadsheet. I like how it kind of organizes all your stuff on here in one little spot. I think it's kind of easy to kind of put like a little, what do you call this, like a workspace, and then each one of these is a base. And you can kind of like link stuff together really easily. So I don't know if I guess I can just go into like one of these and so this has to do with my like 11 nations of the USA. I think I made a video about that, and then me trying to like incorporate some of these. But for example, in this settlements thing, um, what I can do is I can, define all the regions here and what they're based off of and stuff like that. And then I can do this settlements thing, and I can further kind of. This is just kind of like an idea I had. It's not like my official like canon of these places, but you can sort of. Let's see if I can show you. So if I create a new one, I can like call it like region 10 or something. And then in this little category, I can link it to one of the regions in this tab, which is pretty cool. So I can be like, oh, this is from the Arcana Rib, and it kind of auto populates to this thing. And Arcana Rib's here, and you can kind of see that region 10 has been automatically uploaded there. So you can do a lot of this kind of cool uh, linking to different things in this sort of thing. There's also so many other features. This isn't an advertisement or anything, but I don't have the pro version. This is just the free version. So even with the like free version, there's a lot of like tools that I like to utilize. You can even do like a gallery photo. So um, yeah, I did this thing with like Pinterest characters. I don't know if I can find it. Yeah, Pinterest character concepts. And so this is like um, a gallery kind of view of like all these characters. And so basically what I would do is I would just go onto Pinterest and just like save a bunch of photos that I thought could make cool character concepts. and then you kind of just import them into like this thing, and you can kind of like write down different things. Like I was just doing like for fun things, so like hair, color, race, homeland, and gender, and you can attach a file to it. And so it's just like a way to kind of, you can then start to combine them all together and have like pretty fleshed out like character profiles on this thing. So that's kind of like what I do. This is just kind of like a bunch of examples that I've done. But I don't know. Hopefully it's been interesting. We've been here for about 20 minutes, so I think that's a good stopping point. But yeah, if world building's not your thing, hey, maybe you can try it out and maybe you'll like it, or maybe this was just interesting and entertaining or something. But yeah, have a good one. I'll see you later. It's Father's Day is tomorrow, so I hope you all had a good Father's Day. See you later. Bye bye.